I am Jenny Ponzurek. For anyone who's new to me, I am the founder of the Prepared School Psych community and the host of the Prepared School Psych podcast. Last week, Dr. Amy Merenda showed up with me, and we were talking about one of our summer boot camp sessions that Amy and I are actually going to be co-presenting on. And we got some nice feedback, so we invited Amy to come on back here. And today we are going to talk a little bit about executive functioning. Amy, for those of you who haven't met her, she is a school psychologist and she's actually our lead content specialist inside the Prepared School Psych community. And I'm going to kick off by asking Amy, why do you love talking about executive functioning as much as I do? Because it's one of my favorite topics to talk about.
I love the question, Jenny, and I love being able to share this interest with you as well. Executive functioning is something I love to talk about, I love to learn about because to me, executive functioning, I love the analogies people give, but it's like the conductor of the orchestra, right? You have all these skills and abilities to share with, especially for students, to share in the classroom, to share with adults around them, you know, but they have a difficult time executing those things. And I really love learning about how to make that gap a little bit smaller. A lot of times in the special education world, we talk so much about what kids cannot do. And in terms of executive functioning, a lot of times that's what's getting in the way of kids
Mhm.
showing the things that they can do. And so it really is a part of the brain and of learning that impacts everything as well. You really can't get away from executive functioning. And so I want to learn, always learn about and talk about how you can strengthen the conductor of the orchestra. How can you help all the parts of the brain work together? And that's, really something that draws me to the topic.
Well, and I know you love this topic so much because I was at one of your trainings at the California Association of School Psychologists. I think it was one of our fall conventions a couple of years back. And you were presenting about this topic, and you had actually done a survey with school psychologists about executive functioning. Can you talk a little bit about what that survey was about?
Absolutely. So, my colleague and I, we wanted to learn a little bit more about executive functioning in terms of the role it plays for school psychologists. So, not just for students that we work with, but also for us as practitioners. How do executive functioning skills impact our work and our life? And so, the purpose of our survey was to get a better understanding of each of the facets of executive functioning, how practicing school psychologists play into those facets. Are there certain areas of executive functioning that maybe are stronger or weaker? Are there certain strategies that school psychologists use to strengthen their executive functioning skills? And so, really, the survey helped us identify what parts of executive functioning were really important for school psychs and how they strengthened those areas.
Now, I know in the presentation that I sat through, you guys went through a lot of information, but for today, do you want to just share what were some of those top maybe, two or three takeaways from that survey?
Totally. So, one of the biggest takeaways is really the fact that of all of our psychs surveyed, and mind you, these were psychs across the country, varying levels of experience, varying levels of where they practice in terms of age and grade and things like that. So it's not just one group. It was quite a variety of folks. Almost everybody relied most heavily on their planning skills. So organizing and planning. And that's not a huge surprise. I think when we think about our role as a school psychologist, it requires a lot of organization and a lot of planning. But kind of having that validated from psychs from all over and practicing in different ways, and especially psychs of varying levels of experience. It's just as important to plan when you're in your first year that it is when you're in your 20th year. And so making sure that that was something that people focused on. That was one of the biggest takeaways. And they use things like planners, to-do lists, checklists, and these were both tangible items and digital as well. So that's really the biggest takeaway. And then another one that I think that's really important to note and talk about is just that executive functioning is so vital to every facet of our job, honestly. When we organized the survey, we had each of the parts of executive functioning listed out individually. So things like how I mentioned planning, organization, time management, metacognition, all the things were in the survey. there was not one area that was marked as not important.
Mm.
Everything was marked as important to folks. And while that might not seem helpful because it's like, yep, and another area we need to work on, yep, and another one, I think the takeaway there is that taking time and effort to focus on these things for yourself as a professional is going to pay off because nearly every facet affected nearly every person. And that is so important to remember. And also, you're not alone, right? This is true for all stages of their career, all grades that they supported. So if you're feeling it too in the field out there, like, oh my gosh, I need to work on planning or my time management, I need to work on that. You're not alone. This was true for psychs everywhere, and all stages. So really, yeah, those were the two things. Planning was a huge one, and that none of them were not important. So I thought that was awesome.
I think that's great. And I know you and I have both talked about executive functioning. We've both done trainings on it. And one of the things that I think can be helpful is because there are so many, use the word facets. Sometimes we talk about skills or components, a lot of different ways to talk about that, is that we can all have strengths and weaknesses in these different
Definitely.
areas. Um, so we love talking about this. So we are going to talk about this during summer boot camp.
Yes, we are.
So Amy and I are going to talk about this together. We are going to join forces and we are going to talk about executive functioning during summer boot camp. And this again is going to fall under the before the IEP. So there's a lot of different parts of executive functioning. Amy and I could probably talk about it for a week, right? But we're going to just talk about it for a little bit and we're going to really focus more on the assessment piece, right? Things to think about in regards to the evaluation process and gathering information so that we're ready for that IEP meeting. And remember, anyone who signs up for summer boot camp, you get access to all of our different sessions, including this one. And I know everyone knows if you listen to any of, our conversations lately, registration is open. And if you are interested in joining the psychs that have already signed up in the last couple of weeks, head over to my website, jennyponzurek.com. Right now, you can click on the link on the front page and it takes you directly to our registration page. And we had a question, someone asked for us to clarify a little bit more about CEUs. So each of the live sessions that we will be offering, we will have an opportunity if you need CEUs. I know Amy and I both always need CEUs. Whether you need it for your NCSP or for my California LEPs, we offer them. The cost of the CEUs is not part of registration though. So it is an extra cost. That's just going to depend on how many CEUs that you need. In addition to that though, we also offer certificates of completion. Now, who is that helpful for? Usually students. I know students, your university professors love when you walk in and show that you attended something. So we're going to also offer certificates of completion. And if your district likes that, even if you're not a student, you're welcome to turn them in for them as well, right? So again, if you are interested, we have all the information about all the different sessions. We've got all the titles and everything like that over on the website, jennyponzurek.com. And you can come hang out with Amy and I. We're co-presenting a number of our sessions this summer. And if you have any questions that are not answered on the registration page, feel free to send us an email at support@jennyponzurek.com or feel free to just DM me. All right. Thank you, Amy, for being here again. I'm so excited for
Of
our upcoming,
course.
us joining forces to talk about
Me
executive
too.
functioning.
It's going to be the best.
We'll see you guys all next time.